I think I was doing some research this morning. I feel like this has got to be the most diverse Marvel project that we've ever seen. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every day
Yes.
you see a black superhero, and on top of that, one who gets his own TV show.
Right.
I mean, so what were your thoughts about just being a part of this project when you found out that you were going to be a part of it?
Look, I was excited. Selfishly, I'm always looking at the character first. And so from that standpoint, I was like, I'm all in. And then as you begin to kind of, at least how I worked in this case, was as I began to kind of pull away and look at the larger story, how all the characters kind of fit together.
Yeah.
And as the narrative kind of unfolded, episode to episode, I really got clear on the value of the story of the series as a whole, and so look, I was excited and all for working with Alfre. For sure.
Same here.
Yeah.
What were your
Yeah,
thoughts? I
we
mean, you've grew up through the blaxploitation era, which this character was derived from. So, what were your thoughts about just seeing this character come to fruition?
Okay, I'm a very black woman. I'm a granddaughter of sharecroppers and landowners, but I am also so sort of like geeky and out of touch. I didn't like blaxploitation films. And it wasn't a political thing. It's just like, yeah, I didn't. It didn't capture
resonate
my
with you.
interest. No. What I did love was the music, the culture, the poetry, the writing, the politics, the complexity of Harlem
Yes.
since the Renaissance. I started studying Harlem Renaissance back in high school. And so then I got introduced to the Marvel world
Right.
with this, and I was never into even comics and things because it just made me nervous, things in boxes. I'm telling you, I was a weirdo. That's why I'm an actor. And so I was so excited. It was like, oh, I got invited to the cool kids party. So the fact that Cheo wanted me, and then he said what he wanted me to do, it was like,
Yeah.
I am all in, because I didn't know how to do it. And I think an artist is always interested in approaching something they don't know how to do, because it gives you something to think about.
Right. It's funny, you talked about, not necessarily just being as interested in comics as maybe some of the kids out there. And I feel like that's kind of a common a feeling a lot of times amongst inner city kids. We just don't get the comic books from an early age. So when it comes to imagery and being able to represent, on camera for the whole world to see, how important is that imagery, and for you guys to portray characters that you feel like are somebody who you'd want your kids to see?
You know what? Let me just say this. I think, I wasn't reading comics because I'm weird, and I was also an athlete. I was outdoors running and jumping and stuff.
Yeah,
and
same.
so, but I think there's always been kids of color reading comics, but maybe they didn't have anybody to share it with. Black nerds, that is like white nerds have it bad enough until recently. Black nerds are like, oh Lord. So now everybody's like, yeah, smart is cool. So
Right.
I think I'm so glad that at this moment, the inner nerd of everybody is awakening, and the new kids. You could be a Chinese kid. You're gonna look at Luke Cage and go like, "That's me. That's me. I can do watch me be Luke." So that's the
Right.
thing, is that everybody gets to, when people are deprived of images, they need an image of themselves to feel like they exist.
Right.
And people who don't look like them need an image of them to feel respected, that they're being presented what they see in the real world.
Absolutely.
Everybody is starved.
Yeah, and sadly. I feel like you as an actor and have the, not necessarily a luxury, but the responsibility to choose characters that you feel like will best represent people in our community, in particular the African American community. So when it comes to using your platform as an actor, as an actress, how do you want your legacy to be remembered when it comes to the choices that you made, when it comes to your careers and the characters that you choose?
You know what? I don't think about legacy because I'm still too much in motion, and also I'm still an artist, and an artist doesn't seek to satisfy people. An artist seeks to hold a mirror up to a society so that the society can see themselves reflected, and however people respond to that, that's on them. But I always chose in the beginning saying I never do anything I'd be embarrassed for my parents to see. That don't mean I wouldn't get naked or swear or something, because I'm reproducing a human action as an actor. So people have to be represented. Then it got to be, I wouldn't do anything that I would be ashamed for my children to see when it's age appropriate for them. And so that's just it. And but there's a lot in there. I mean, that's a big landscape to cover.
Mm-hmm.
You go.
In terms of legacy, it's not really something I'm spending a lot of time thinking about. I just really want to grow and do great work, and work with great people so that I'm pushed. But I do want to comment on something that you said that I think as a African American actor, or an actor who happens to be African American, I think the responsibility has to always be to the narrative, to the story, because you have to think about, if you were telling the story of Moses, Pharaoh's got to be great. So if you're a black guy getting to play Pharaoh, like, you just got to be, so you can't worry about how a black person is being represented, because that story needs Pharaoh to be great for Moses to be great, or to be greater, right? Mm-hmm. And if those two things don't come together, the story can't be told in the deepest, most truthful way that could really resonate and impact people. So I have to look at characters I have to look at how, there's something I'm working on now. This guy is not redeeming at all. Not this, but something else I'm working on. The guy's not redeeming at all. But in terms of the larger story, he needs to be that way, because it affects the outcome. It affects how people will be affected. So I just think, and every opportunity, every story is different, and you kind of got to take them one at a time, and eventually they all kind of like link together, and you have a spine of a career.
Well, thank you so much for you guys' work. We look forward to a lot more in the future.
I just have to say this really quick, because I know black artists disappoint their audiences.